We are back on the Sunday Sports Update, and you are just in time to hear from Stoney from 97.1 The Ticket. Stoney, always good to see you.
Good evening, Dave. How are you? What a difference a week makes.
I know, seriously, and what a difference a week makes exactly for the Tigers, the
Yes.
Lions, and we're going to talk a little Penn State and Olympics, but let's jump right into the Tigers. Stoney and I were just talking about how many runs the Tigers have stacked up in the last, just few games, and it's kind of a...
18 runs this week, and that's not going to get it done, and that's the reason they went 2-4 this week. I mean, last week at this time, they were sitting there, game and a half lead in first place. They're on a roll. And boom! All of a sudden, the bats stop, and then they make a trade this week. That right now, and you cannot judge a trade in 1 week and in one start. But right now, it looks like Anibal Sanchez is Jared Washburn and Omar Infante is Aubrey Huff. We'll go back to that year, but it's still early for that. They definitely need another bat. And the only thing that disappointed me about the trade was Turner and Brantley, and you thought they might get a bigger haul, and maybe. If Dombrowski would have waited a few days, I mean, the deadline is, Tuesday, they could have done something else. I mean, the Angels got Greinke. Now, I don't know the answer to this, but are the prospects that the Angels gave Milwaukee that much better than what the Tigers offered or could have gotten and got Greinke? I don't know. Probably not. But, on paper, it was a good trade because they were getting nothing for second base.
Sure.
And now with Infante, they're still getting nothing from second base. I'm convinced you could put Joe Morgan in his prime right now for Tigers at second base, they still wouldn't hit. No, and that position is jinxed right now. It's incredible.
I know a lot of people wondering, did David Dombrowski make the right move? Again, you mentioned it's too early to tell, but a lot of people have a lot to say so far what they've seen. And, it's all about the fans. If you're David Dombrowski, when do you say to yourself, if things don't start turning around, boy, should I have done that?
Well, he can't second-guess himself now, but they do need another bat. And so they have 2 days to make one before the official trade deadline, and then later on they can make those waiver deals and see what happens. But they got to get on board hitting, because that's been the problem with the team all season long, is when they get into these funks, it's hitting. It's not even the pitching.
I mean, if it weren't for Johnny Peralta stacking up those runs today, who would have else contributed? I mean, Doug Fister can only pitch so many innings and record so many strikeouts before you say.
And Peralta was so bad he was 0 for 17 going into the game. So it was good that they got that win, but the White Sox had a great week, and now Tigers go to Boston and then home for a while. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be an up and down finish the entire way. I don't think nobody's running away with this division. Yeah.
It's hard to push the panic button quite yet, but unless they can turn things around at Fenway Park, then they come back in, August 3rd against Cleveland. So Jim Leyland's going to have a talk with the boys they need to get things going again offensively. Hey, shifting subjects now, talking about the Lions here. Boy, where do I begin? Michael LaShore, some concerns there at running back. Jahvid Best still on the physically unable to perform list. I know Jim Schwartz is kind of not worrying right now based on what we've heard at Lions training camp, but when do you start getting really worried if you're Jim Schwartz, especially since, oh, by the way, the Cleveland Browns preseason opener just around the corner?
Well, I don't care about the preseason. I would worry if it's after the second game and Best isn't ready to play yet. LaShore's a hamstring. He'll be all right, but he's going to miss the first 2 games anyway because of his suspension. So you would think you'd have hopefully you have Best ready, and if he's not ready in 3-4 weeks, he may never play again, because he even said, I'm working to get cleared. What do you work on? There's nothing to work on. It's all in your brain. So it's a brain injury, the concussion. It has nothing to do with anything else physically. So that's a little bit of a concern. But like I said, I'm not pushing the panic button yet. But if he's not ready opening day or he can't play again, then you're going to have the criticism why they didn't address the running back situation by either signing a free agent like Michael Bush, like the Bears did, or drafting somebody earlier.
Penn State stuff now, I know the university making the comment that heavy sanctions are better than the alternative.
What's amazing to me is you hear these people, and I have relatives that went to Penn State, my dad, same age as Paterno. They don't understand. To me, this is much better than a death penalty because, A, if you're a student at Penn State, you still get to watch football, you still get to tailgate. Okay, they're losing a lot of scholarships. They're not going to be good. What's the worst thing that could happen to Penn State football? That they're Indiana for 4 years? That's not the end of the world for what happened. I mean, the businesses will still be filled up with hotels. People will still go to the restaurants on the weekend, and the students will still be able to get, hammered and watch their team play football. They just won't be good for a while. And Penn State hasn't been great for a while anyway, so it's not that they're going to unbelievable bowl games. It's not that big of a deal, I don't think.
the Olympics right now. Lots of coverage. We've seen what happened over the weekend. I'm going to save the best for last for you, Stoney. I know you have a lot to say about Olympic coverage this year.
Yeah, the Stonehead this week goes to the national broadcasting company, the Peacock NBC. Now, look, I understand that the Olympics has become a television event. It's all about ratings. But there was no excuse on the weekends not to show the Lochte-Phelps meet yesterday, that race, and other things. The gymnastics, oh, you're waiting for it to show prime time. You have the Olympics on all these networks, MSNBC, Bravo for crying out loud. Show stuff live. Don't be an idiot. NBC, Stoneheads. It's the age of Twitter. It's the age of social. Everybody knows who wins anyway.
Yeah. You heard it right here from the one and only Stoney from 97.1 The Ticket. And just for you newcomers into Detroit, you can always catch Stoney and Bill weekdays from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 97.1 The Ticket, as we mentioned. Stoney, so good to see you as always.
See you next week.
We'll see you soon.
Yep.